guys, so in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you tips for filming your pre-screens and your self-tapes. This is especially important right now because literally everything is online. So for your online pre-screens, you will be sending in your audition videos of you singing and then also acting. And for some schools, you will have to do dancing. And then sometimes you'll also have to write a supplemental essay or just a few things about you in your pre-screen submission. And then after you turn in your pre-screen, you'll hear back 2 days to many months after if you pass the pre-screen. And if you pass the pre-screen, then you can schedule an in-person audition. So first, I'm gonna start with when should you turn in your college audition pre-screens. And you should be filming them in the beginning of October and then turning them in at about the middle to end of October, and trying to get as many in before November as possible. So you want to turn them in as soon as possible, but you don't want to turn it in too soon that it's not as good as it could have been. But also, like me, don't be a perfectionist and don't be like, oh, well, it'll keep being better. I just have to keep practicing it. At a certain point, you just have to film it. So you should turn them in pretty early because you have a slightly higher chance of passing them if they haven't seen as many people and haven't accepted as many people. And also you want to try your best for the majority of your pre-screens to get them in before the middle of November, because that is when the first in-person auditions start. And once they've had the in-person auditions, they are much more critical and restrictive of who they let pass their pre-screens. So material that you're most likely going to need for your pre-screens is a contemporary monologue. You're also probably going to need a classical monologue, and you'll probably only need this for a few schools. I think I only needed it for like 2, but that's 2 schools. So find a classical monologue and be ready because you're most likely going to need it, and you're probably gonna need it for an in-person audition, so you might as well find one now. Now for songs, you're going to need an up-tempo and a ballad, and I would recommend have one be contemporary and the other golden age, which is pre-1970, because that makes your material more contrasting. Usually they ask for under 90 seconds or like 32 bars, somewhere around that general area. And then as far as dance videos go, you're most likely going to be doing a jazz or musical theater style combination. They usually don't want you doing a ballet or a tap number, but sometimes they do allow extra dance videos. And also there is the wildcard video, which I will have a video coming out with ideas on what to do for that. And that is optional. Okay, so I have a ton of filming tips, but something I want to say quickly is it is not necessary to spend tons of money on your pre-screens. You're going to spend so much money traveling to auditions and applying to schools that it's really not worth it, and it doesn't really increase your chances as long as you have good enough video quality and sound. You don't need mics, you don't need to go to a studio, you don't need anything like that. So the first thing is you want to film with a nice enough phone. Now it doesn't have to be like a really nice camera. iPhones have really good quality these days, and make sure you are filming at eye level, and also make sure you're filming horizontal, which is this way. You don't want to do it this way because if you do, once you upload it, you're gonna have the black bars on the side, which is not good. Second, I would say you should have a stand and not have somebody filming it for you because it's going to be shaky and that can kind of be a little distracting. And if you do plan on moving in your song or monologue, then just give yourself enough room so that when you move, you're not out of the camera space. But I would also actually have somebody there to start and stop the video for you. It makes it a lot easier so you're not just kind of walking around each time. Something I would say is really important is having somebody else play the piano for you live for your videos. If that's not possible, I would try and get somebody to play the piano music so you can play it on your phone and have somebody else play that for you. Or if you really don't have that either, you can find a karaoke or something online, or you could find the music on the Piano Tracks app. And if you're doing a track, make sure somebody plays it for you. But I would really recommend having live music. And if you do have somebody playing it for you, make sure that the camera isn't too close to them and it's closer to you so that the piano isn't overwhelmingly loud compared to you because you're more important. The next thing is the light source. You want to have your light source coming from in front of you. The best thing to have is natural light. And if you have really bad shadows on your face, then they can't see your eyes and your facials, and so then they can't see your acting as well, and your pre-screen will suffer. The next thing, you want to look into a mirror or have somebody else look at you. Make sure your hair is how you want it to be. Make sure you have nothing in your teeth. Make sure you don't have a stain on your clothes, because you don't want to spend an hour filming just to realize you can't use any of the footage, because that would suck. Next, you need to check the filming requirements from each school, because they can be different. Sometimes they want to see a different amount of your body, like they might just want to see from your torso up. Some might want to see your full body, so it really depends. And I would say if one school wants your full body and one wants for the torso up for the same material, then just get your full body, and then you can actually go into iMovie and zoom in on your video so that you have it cropped, or I guess you can crop it on your phone. That just makes it easier so you don't have to film it twice. Okay, next is what you want to wear. Now, I would say something patternless, just like a solid color if you can, because it's less distracting. And I would say no ruffles, nothing that's really distracting, because you don't want them like looking at your clothes and be like, oh, where did she get that? You want them focusing on you and your acting and your singing. And if your background is a solid color, make sure you are not wearing that color. I've seen floating heads. It's not a great look. You don't want to be a floating head in a video. Okay, the next thing, if possible, you want to have a blank background. This is kind of distracting. You wouldn't want something like this. My pre-screens, I had a bookshelf, and looking back, that probably wasn't the greatest idea, because there were so many colors and so many books that it was very distracting. And sure, it looks nice, but it's distracting. And you can always hang up like a bed sheet or something like that if you don't have a blank wall in your house. The next thing, I think this is really important because it's the first thing they'll see, which is your slate. And most people kind of turn into robots when they do their slate. So you want to humanize it, you know? Not like, hi, my name is Madison and I'll be singing Mr. Snow from Carousel. You want to add some happiness to it. Hello, my name is Madison Holla and I'll be singing Mr. Snow from Carousel. You know, put some personality into it. Don't make it stone-faced and boring. It's the first thing they see. You can also say like, hi, thank you for watching. My first piece is. You don't have to just say, hi, my name is. You can add that if you want to. You don't have to, but you could. Next, don't look straight into the camera when you are singing and acting, because that is pretty much the same thing as looking at one of the auditors during your audition and making them your scene partner. So instead, look above the camera or look a little bit on the side of it, but don't look directly into the camera. Bad idea. Next, you want to film everything separately. So don't sing your first song and then go straight into your second song. You want to film that separately, same with your monologues, because they're going to want separate videos when you're putting it in for your pre-screen. Next is labeling your video correctly. There is a correct way to do it, actually. So you'll have the file on your computer and you need to label it. Don't leave it unlabeled. And you don't want to put your name because they know your name. They're on your pre-screen submission, so they know your name. So waste of space. If it's a song, you want to label it up-tempo or ballad, and then the title of the song, and then the composer. And then if it's a monologue, you want to put dramatic or comedic, and then the title of the play and the author. For your dance video, I would write the style of dance that you're doing, and then write the song name, and then who choreographed it. And this will just make it so much easier for the auditors to know what's going on and what they're gonna be watching. Okay, so for most schools, you're going to want to have it as an MP4, and you can use online video converter, which I had to use for one school because my video wasn't working. And I'll have a link for that in the description. Another thing, not every school requires you to turn in your application to the school before you turn in your pre-screen. And if that's the case, then submit your pre-screen and don't apply to the school until after you hear back, because if you don't pass the pre-screen, you don't have to apply. You save time and you save money. Another thing is when you are turning it in, don't wait to the last second, because like I said, some have supplemental essays which take time. You probably won't be able to turn them in all at the same time. So just keep that in mind. Another thing you probably will need is a headshot. So if you don't have a headshot, you should get that because you're going to need that when you are turning in your pre-screens. Something else you have to do, and as painful as this is, you have to watch your video back. You have to make sure this is the take you want. You have to make sure you look good, you sound good, you're loud enough. You want to be loud enough. You don't want to be too loud or too quiet. So just watch your video back and make sure that is what you want to send into these schools. Something else, so some schools will have extra material. Some might want you to do a specific dance or a specific monologue. And I would say that you should not make those your priority over the other material that every other school is going to be asking for, because only one school is asking for that. So get your other material done first, work on the specific material as well, but focus on the other stuff first, and don't feel pressured to get that special material in at the same time. It's okay to get it in a little bit later. You're human. All right, that's all the tips I have. If you found this video helpful, it would be awesome if you could like the video and subscribe because it helps me out so much. And leave any questions you have. If you have any questions literally about anything, ask them below and have the most amazing day ever. Bye.